right, let's get this work. So, man, hey, we welcome you guys out to Modern Manhood. This is a masterclass group where we discuss all the pertinent topics that impact us as men. So, man, I'm pretty excited to be able to introduce our first guest, Jeremy Morgan, who is a great friend of mine. Jeremy, I guess you could talk about how we met.
All right. Well, DJ and I, we met in at Planet Fitness, and I was working out there. He started working out there, and we just connected. And just started talking about weightlifting, and then it moved into more theological side of things and spiritual side of things. And Danelle is very much about learning and exploring everything and trying to find the truth in every little thing out there, every different perspective, because there has to be truth for somebody to follow it. If somebody believes it, there's a little bit of truth in it. It might not all be truth, might be mostly lie, but he looks for just that little bit of truth that he can take and then apply into his life. And that's how we met. We spent a lot of time discussing that.
Absolutely. So, man, you guys, Jeremy, he works in the health field. I didn't want to call you an RN because there's definitely a difference between what you do with an RN. Sorry, you guys, I'm not familiar with all the medical acronyms. So tell people what you do. And this is so funny because it's interesting when you have people that are truly passionate about health, but it's even more interesting when you see people who are passionate about people. And Jeremy, I could be like, yo, I had trouble to sleep last night. I took a Benadryl, and he'd be like, don't take a Benadryl. What you need to do is take this. So I love how, like, now I can't do some of the bad habits I used to do because he's practical and he knows statistics and he knows his facts and he really does his work and research when it comes to medical stuff. So tell people what you do.
Okay, so I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been a registered nurse for 12 years now, and a nurse practitioner for 3.5. I've done sleep medicine, helping people with sleep apnea. I've also, and other sleep disorders. I've done family practice, urgent care. I went and worked COVID ICU in New York City, worked COVID ICU here in Oklahoma City. And then I'm currently working in an infusion clinic, taking care of patients who have autoimmune diseases and treating them with different types of manufactured antibodies to stop their immune system from attacking themselves. So that's what I currently do.
Well, Dr. Damon. Yeah, I just got an infusion for the first time. Okay, welcome, Dr. Damon.
I'm in here, man. Y'all know I'm working behind the scenes a little bit. So
absolutely,
so definitely, man. Welcome, Jeremy, to the man cave as we share. And hearing your background, made, and of course, the relationship that you share with Donnell really meant like we were looking for someone like that to really share and having that experience of what it looks like to really grab our health and wellness as men, especially in today's world where there's so much information out there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm really excited to hear your perspective, to hear your experience, and really to help us really put together some tips and tools that we can walk away from today. Things that we can do to really own our health and own, our wellness in a world that says, nah, don't worry about that. Just go to work and do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I've talked to Danelle about this multiple times, but how we identify ourselves is good, but it also can hold us back and limit us. If I define myself as, say, Scottish, which I'm not, but if I define myself as Scottish, I limit myself in that. I put a limit on me. And it's good because I can tie into my heritage, but then at some point it limits me. Now, if I identify myself as a human, that really expands my possibilities and what I can become. And I can then break past the limitations. And as men with health, we tend to limit ourselves because we will say to ourselves, well, I'm a man, I'm strong, I'm untouchable. I'm a force not to be reckoned with. And, I don't have any weaknesses. Men aren't allowed to have weaknesses. And I can live with what I'm dealing with right now. right?
Mhm.
And so we might have, our vision might start fading. I can live with that. Or you might go to the doctor's office one day and he goes, well, you got high blood pressure. Whatever, I can live with that. And actually that was one of the things that we wanted to discuss was blood pressure, because it is known as the silent killer. A lot of people don't know they have high blood pressure. And forgive me, I'm going to tie a lot of this healthcare into spiritual and mindset, because I also was a college campus minister for 8 years and did Bible studies with college students. So theology is a major part of what I believe. And I tie that into my healthcare, because it's not just treating your physical, it's also treating your mental and your spiritual and your intellectual.
You got a good point, and I think that's something that's really important for us to understand. Like, and we both know this in the medical field. We've shifted from this idea of the biological way of treating people or a person. We treat a disease, we treat a broken bone or a torn muscle. No, we have to see people as they are, and that means adopting the biopsychosocial model, which has all three spheres. It's not just about your body. It's also about your psychological health. How are you coping with what you're going through in life? And then there's that third sphere, which is the social aspect. How is what you're experiencing in your healing or in your illness, how does that affect your social interactions? Are you really living a life of peace and joy with your family members? Are you doing the things that socially keep you sane and keep you comfortable and happy with who you are on the inside? So you're exactly right about how important it is that we find a way to really mix that up. Because even if you're not a person who really identifies as a religious person or a devout person who follows a specific faith, it's still important that you find ways to feed your soul and find those intersections where your mind and your body and your inner self can really find some peace and harmony. So thanks for saying that, man.
Man, you know what I think is interesting too is I don't think that we always see ourselves as psychophysical units where we can recognize that your mind does impact your body and your body does impact your mind, right? And so when we have situations like stress, a lot of times, whether it's acute stress or chronic stress, we ignore the symptoms because we don't view those symptoms as teachers. We just carry on, and when something bad happens, we're like, well, I'll just get some rest, you know? And sometimes that thing does, it becomes a catastrophe whenever we actually do get into the possibility where we can do something. And we react versus being responsible. So I'm glad that we are having this conversation, because we usually wait when it's too late and we can't reverse a lot of the effects that take place.
Yep, absolutely. So, and that's one of the reasons to discuss blood pressure, because it ties into so many different things. So, and it doesn't get explained to us, right? You know, there's a big number over a little number. And that big number is called systolic. And essentially that is when the heart, the bottom of the heart, which pushes all the blood out throughout the body, the bottom of it is contracting, okay? That is the highest pressure that the heart can generate with that specific beat. And so that's going to be your top number. That's your systolic. Diastolic is when the bottom of the heart is relaxed and it's filling with blood. So your heart is not technically beating where it's pushing blood throughout your body, okay? So that's your low number. So your blood pressure is the highest pressure and the lowest pressure at beat and off beat, okay? So there's lots of things that can cause high blood pressure. And if we don't treat high blood pressure, it causes damage to our organs, and not just kidneys, liver, lungs. But for us guys, it can cause a little problem.
Oh yeah, we don't want that, bro.
Right?
We don't want that. No, no.
So
tell me somebody, listen, you didn't even say it, but we all know what you're talking about.
Not my man. No, all right, Jeremy, go ahead.
which brings up a funny meme, by the way. There was a picture of an old man and old woman. They're talking to each other. It's husband and wife. And the man looks at the woman. He goes, "The doctor says I can masturbate anytime I want." And the wife is looking at the husband and she goes, "He didn't say that. He said you could stroke it anytime." Yeah.
I mean,
So,
Listen, I want somebody to find that meme and post this in the comments. Like, please listen, if you're watching this live, or even if you're watching this this
That's
as
freaking
recorded
hilarious.
video, I want you to go find this meme and share it in the comments, please.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So we tell ourselves what we want to hear. We go out and we try to find information that holds true to what we already believe. So we look for what's called confirmation bias. We look for information that confirms what we already believe instead of challenging what we believe. And so we tend to develop symptoms and we just go, "Oh, that's just part of getting old." Right.
Yes.
I wake up.
Well, my family has that. That runs in my family, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Yep. Hereditary.
You wake up in the morning and your vision's blurry for the first 30 minutes. It's like, oh, it's just age. My eyes are slow to wake up. No, that's a blood pressure issue, most likely related to your sleep apnea. So the reason why I want to talk about blood pressure is because it can lead to strokes. It can lead to heart attacks. It can lead to organ failure and problems. That organ failure too.
Right.
And it can be caused by a lot of things. Some of it is age. As we age, the fibers in our body that give our skin its elasticity so that our skin bounces back, those break over time. And when they break over time, tissue sags. Well, that's why every single one of us, when we turn 80, will need to have our birthday suits ironed.
Right.
We get wrinkles because the collagen fibers break down.
Right.
The collagen fibers are also in your blood vessels. So when your heart beats, your blood vessel stretches open and then stretches back down with each beat, right? And that helps push the blood through to some degree. As you get older, that collagen breaks. It sits out like this, okay? And it doesn't shrink back down. And your body compensates and you start to retain some fluid and your blood pressure goes up and it just keeps going up and up, partly because that collagen is gone and that blood vessel stays wide open. And despite what the beauty companies tell us, once collagen breaks, there's no real repairing it.
God, man.
Right? That's why you don't see 80-year-olds who have amazing skin unless they've had surgery. Diet can be a part of it. Lots of salt in your diet. In fact, here's one for you. If you get frequent headaches, if you crave salt, you're like, "Oh, pass the salt." "Oh, hey, can you pass the salt too?" Right? You want to put salt on everything. Most likely you're deficient in magnesium. And you just need to start taking some magnesium and you'll find your salt craving goes away as well as your headaches. And magnesium actually is helpful in causing those blood vessels to relax a little bit. And so that's
dope. That's good to know. Man, I've heard things like that, bro, like statistics of like nutrient deficiencies. So that's interesting that you actually are doing the infusions right now, because I just went and got one a couple of weeks ago. And I was talking to her, and stuff like vitamin D, taking vitamin D can eliminate 5 of the top cancers. And most people have to go do chemo when it's like, fam, you can get some vitamin D for like $10. And that literally would clear out a majority of cancers that most people experience.
Well, I think you're speaking to how powerful it is for us to really take control of our health in the beginning, right? Not that we want to deny that treatment might be needed at certain points, but if we take a stance and really take control of our health in the beginning, right now, today, then you can help to fend off the opportunity for you to go through some of those sufferings. For instance, being able, and that's really what I'm excited to roll into, is that we know the statistics are showing that men are suffering more more damage from the way we're eating, from the way we're not coping with stress, from the way we're not as active as we need to be. So we know it's all there. Nobody knows, nobody doesn't know that that's real. But how can we talk about ways that we can take ownership of our health right now? Jeremy, you talked about how important it is to know our blood pressure and even share with us what that looks like and what it means. That's one thing. Taking your blood pressure and having your blood pressure taken is one of the strongest things you can do to support your own health, thereby being there for your family and for your community. So that's one thing. You talked to Jeremy about how important it is that we monitor what we eat. And I think that's a whole other conversation. But in short,
absolutely,
cutting out on salt and cutting out on sugar as much as you can and finding alternatives to really meet your cravings and your needs is so powerful in being able to protect your health. Let's talk about some other ways that we can, Donnell, you just mentioned particularly taking supplements and vitamins and really making sure that you've got the building blocks in your body so that it can really build the way it's supposed to while we're on the move. What else? What other things that we want to share with guys that they can do today?
And I want to say that because Jeremy just talked to me about that a couple of days ago about like I went to the dentist and they were saying that there was different bone fragments that was like that was disintegrating over time because of like dental health. And I'm like, bro, I didn't think about that. I came to get my teeth cleaned, right? So and he was telling me vitamins. So what would you say would be some of the great supplements that's probably necessary? Like I know I take sea moss that has everything in it, but what would you recommend?
So a daily vitamin is good. You do, some of them put way too much vitamin A, K, E, and D in it. And you can actually overdose on those over time. But you want to make sure that on those particular 4 vitamins, A, K, D, and E, that you're not taking like 200, 300% of the daily recommended dose. A baby aspirin a day actually reduces your colon cancer risk by 70%.
Wow.
But vitamin D is important. Calcium is important since we were talking about bones. You have to strain and stress your bones for it to work, for your body to actually use it. So that's weightlifting, body weight exercises. That's how you stress those bones to cause them to thicken and become stronger.
Absolutely.
Magnesium is part of it. And then if you do have a bone issue, kind of like what you're talking about, Tanel, you can add vitamin K2.
Yeah, I take vitamin K2 with D3 every day because K2 is like a transporter. So what we don't know is sometimes we taking vitamins, they don't absorb. So K2 is like a catalyst that takes all the vitamins to where they need to be to actually absorb it.
Yeah. And that helps with your that helps with bone growth. It actually will stimulate the specific cell, the osteoblast, for building bone. That's what the osteoblast does. It builds bone. Side note.
That's my wheelhouse right there. I'm a physical therapist, and when we talk about the importance of keeping your bones,
scoot up a little bit, son, Damon.
When we talk about keeping your bones healthy and your muscles healthy, you gotta get in the activity. You have to be active. And that scares a lot of people when they think, oh man, now I gotta go be a gym rat. No, the American Heart Association recommends that if you get 150 minutes of at least moderate exercise during the week, then you are building instead of losing all of that. So that literally looks like saying, I'm gonna do 2 days on and 1 day off. So for those 2 days that you're on, do a 30-minute walk, right? Go take the dogs out or take your kids out or your significant other and go for a walk around the block. On that second day, do some squats. Get a box out of the garage or out of the office and do some squats and lift that box 50 times that night and see how well you're building your muscles, because it's not about getting to the gym, becoming Arnold Schwarzenegger, but doing a little bit more than what you're doing right now really adds up to that 150. So that's what I would recommend when we talk about just generally how we can take hold of that and own that, own our health and really give our body what it really needs to build. Because if you don't use the muscles, if you don't stress the bones, if you don't get active, your body's going to say, we don't need that anyway. And you're going to find yourself struggling to really bounce back from that. So I need, thanks, Jeremy. I know I cut you off.
I like that, man.
Yeah, and for every pound of muscle mass you gain, you burn 50 more calories a day. So you put on 5 pounds of muscle mass, you burn 250 more calories a day. In 2 weeks, that muscle just being on your body will have burnt off 1 pound of fat.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's not you going to the gym. That's not, that's just having the muscle on your body. Because that muscle takes more energy just to be there. So it helps rev your metabolism up. People who are wanting to lose weight, I tell them, go lift weights, get in the gym, build up some muscle mass. Don't worry about doing cardio right off the bat, and then start working your way into your cardio. Once you've got some mass in your body.
Damon is he's not an advocate for weightlifting. He likes the kettlebells and he likes the yoga and the Tai Chi. Me, I'm a weightlifter, bro. This is what I do, son.
Well,
you know what's funny? Go ahead, Jeremy.
A lot of guys think, I'm going to steal this from a personal trainer, but a lot of guys think the gym is kind of like a cock-off competition. You know, how much weight can you lift? Look how big I am, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, put that away. You know, you don't need to do massive weight. When I do my shoulders, I do 10 pounds for my lateral raises.
Yep.
But I will do 1.5 reps or 1.25 reps, or I'll hold at the top of contraction for 2 to 3 seconds. I don't need a lot of weight, but I can really work out my shoulders that way with light weight.
Yeah.
And it's really effective, and it builds my strength and it builds my muscle mass. And by doing the lighter weight, I'm not putting myself at risk of injury. Even if I'm doing poor form, it's a light weight. If I'm doing poor form with a heavy weight, injury is coming.
Yeah. And endurance is a big key.
Yeah.
That's what he was teaching me, man. He was like, it's about how long you can last.
Yes.
I never thought about that, because sometimes we are on the go, we're pounding.
Right.
And sometimes it's just about flow and frequency is going as long as you can.
And muscle growth comes the longer your muscles are under weight, under strain.
Yes.
And so even when you're at the bottom of your rep, you don't want to go all the way. Like if you're doing lateral raises, I don't want to bring that weight back down to my center or to my thigh. I want to keep that weight out just a little bit. So my deltoid is always under strain and contraction.
Yeah. Keeping it active.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. I want to extend as much time under strain as I can. So I know we're way off base from blood pressure.
No, I mean, that goes along with it. That really does go along with it.
It does. And it's healthcare.
I got a question. So I know some guys beat themselves up because they're not working out, and they know there's things that they want to do, but they don't know how to take action on that. And I think that kind of adds to the stress of us not having compassion on ourselves. So what would you say in a situation like that? Because I got friends that's dealing with that, like where they're like, man, I know I should be doing this, but I'm not doing this.
Okay. Well, it's like with everything. We're all gonna, Jordan Peterson is he is my favorite psychologist that I've come across. And we are all fools when we start. We don't know what we're doing. We make lots of mistakes, and that's okay. And just like a baby that's learning how to get around, they're going to crawl first. So you're trying to get in shape. Great, crawl. And so do one thing, take one small thing. I'm going to walk for 5 minutes today. I'm just going to do a 5-minute walk. Okay, great. Yeah. Go do that 5-minute walk. And each day try to extend it by 2 minutes. Okay. Yep. So by the end of the week, now you're at 19 minutes. Awesome. Strong work. Next week, I'm going to walk 20 minutes a day, and I'm going to do 5 lunges each day. And I'm going to add 2 lunges to it each day in that walk. Or I'm going to do so many squats or so many push-ups. And you just do little by little, and you just add and you build upon it.
Absolutely.
You go to the gym. Your first time at the gym, do 1 set of everything. You know, you don't have to do 3 sets of this, 3 sets of that, 3 sets of this. No, just do 1. Work into it, because you're going to hurt your muscles and you're going to be so sore, you're not going to want to go back the next week.
Right.
So you got to do little by little, just like when you're doing diet change. Okay, I'm gonna cut out soda. Okay, great, cut out soda. You're trying to get rid of sugar in your life. Cut out soda. Okay, next week we're gonna cut out the candy, right? And we just do little by little, and we slowly bring in change. As men, we sit there and think that, you know, we can just, I should be able to do this and I should be able to do that, and well, look at what they're doing. I'm behind. And that's a major problem, is that we like to compare ourselves to others and not realize we are in our own race and they're in a different race and they're on a different track than the track I'm running. But yet they're next to me right now. But over time, we're going to diverge because we're on different paths.
Right. I like it.
I think we're speaking to a really good point. And I want to make sure we're keeping an eye on time. That's a really good point.
Right. I'm looking at it.
Building the habits, right?
Yep.
And one of the major points I want to add to that is sometimes that means going and getting the proper help to really build and understand those habits. You might need to talk to a coach, right? Might need to talk to a coach who can help you do the work to really reflect on why you are not finding that drive or that energy, or even that method to really get to where you want to be. Because a lot of us go through that space of not know, like we might have the mindset, right? We might have the motive to feel better. We know it's important for our health, but we don't have the right means. We don't know what exercise works for our body. We don't know what activity really fits in our schedule. So it's really important that sometimes you may take the moment to speak to somebody. Maybe it's an athletic trainer. Maybe it's somebody who is a coach and can help you figure that part out. Maybe it's a counselor, right? We got to be able to reach out to the right people and get the support that we need. And that's one of the reasons we really wanted to put this this Modern Manhood Man Cave and this masterclass together. So thank you for that. Those are conversations we need to continue to have for ourselves. So guys, this is dope. And I feel like this conversation does need to continue. What are some lasting, what are your final thoughts that we want to share on this live, that we want to share with people who are watching this now, to really take hold of their own health?
So a couple of things. We have to get rid of the shake it off mentality.
Yes.
Yes, you are counted on, but you cannot shake it off. If you ignore it, you're sabotaging yourself. If you deal with it, you're taking responsibility and you will help your health grow. We have a martyr mentality too that goes right along with that shake it off mentality. Ooh. And, oh, well, I'm just going to suffer through this because I got to take care of all these other people. And we can't do that. I know in like Hispanic culture and African-American culture, there's a lot of distrust of the medical because of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, the Henrietta Lacks cell fiasco. A lot of African Americans and Hispanics I know feel like they're almost drive-by experimentations when they go to see the doctor. And that's mainly because you have providers who are under strain from insurance to get it done in a certain amount of time.
Right.
And it's get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out. And so there's very little time taken to listen. There's very little time given to educate. And so you almost feel like you're an experiment. Right. You're just a number. Yeah. And it's sad that that's how it is in healthcare. We're starting to see some change. I've seen it more in the nurse practitioner field than I have in the physician field, where it's more of a focus on the whole person, and they do tend to sit and listen more. There's a couple of key things I wanted to hit on real quick. Blood pressure is related to stress. That stress can be either from on the job or internal. A great example is unforgiveness. Blood pressure is called the silent killer. So is unforgiveness. And it will affect you over time. You feel like holding on to your unforgiveness is important because you are still owed by somebody, but they've forgotten all about it. Yeah. They've moved on and you're sitting there being torn up by it. In fact, people who are diagnosed with cancer, a lot of oncologists are starting to do this. They put people into counseling, not so much to deal with the cancer, but to help them find any unforgiveness, because there's a high correlation between unforgiveness and cancer. The high connection between mental and emotional wellness and your physical wellness.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing I wanted to hit on is, as men, we tend to want to be, the feelings we're allowed to have: happy, brave, in love, or mad. Those are our 4 acceptable society feelings we're supposed to have. We're not allowed to be fearful. We're not allowed to be worried, insecure, depressed, anxious. Those aren't allowed. And so as men, we just stuff those and we ignore those. And that ends up coming out sideways. It affects our health, but it also leads to addictions. And, you know, we hold back on sharing these weaknesses with our wives. And that's like your wife coming to you and saying, baby, I want to have sex with you tonight, but I'm going to wear a t-shirt when we do it.
True.
Every single one of us will be like, I don't like that idea. There's something between you and me in this intimacy, and I don't like that. Well, your wife feels the same way when we don't share that. Hey, I'm feeling anxious. Hey, I'm worried. Hey, I'm feeling insecure about this. I'm really sad. I'm depressed. When we don't share those things with them, we are being that shirt and we're hindering that intimacy. So there's so much more to cover, like epigenetics and how our upbringing and where we grew up and the culture we were in can have bearing on our lives long term into generations, because it causes alterations to our DNA. So there's so much more to discuss.
And we will. You know, this is not our last conversation.
Take us over healthcare.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can run that. So I would say, just ending, man. If you guys have any questions for Jeremy, post them down in the chat. That way we can continue on this conversation and, you know, dive deeper into it. But I think that what we gave was extremely valuable and even life-changing for a lot of individuals that may not be aware of how important blood pressure is to your overall health.
Right. Donnell, finish up by telling us about the Man Cave. Tell us about, you know, what to expect with the manhoodmasterclass.com and what we got coming up next.
So listen, you guys, we got way more conversations coming up with other professions that's inside our group. Masterclass is definitely being phenomenal on helping us find our true purpose and value and the things that we long to achieve. We want to first give a salute to just Jeremy for taking out your time, bro, for doing this. I know this is something you love. So we want to say we really appreciate what you're doing. We genuinely, because I've had high blood pressure, you guys. I passed out from it. My mom struggles with strokes. This is heart disease goes throughout my family. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing that. You guys, if you have people that's not inside the Man Cave, get them in the Man Cave. We want to help build up our community. And this is the way that we're doing this. We love you guys. I'm Donnell Cole. I got Dr. Damon. We're both founders of the Modern Manhood. We continue to build up our group until we become the best version of ourselves. And we're going to do this journey together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, fellas. We're going to get back to it.